these are just some broad strokes. You were talking about like how do you identify like the right biotech stock or whatever, and I think one important thing that you hit on, and maybe you can hit on it one more time, is like the management and like how you would find, again, if I don't want to listen to you, but I want to go find my own stuff, you think like the person talk about the CEO, where that person should look like, or, the seriousness of the resumes, and, how would I identify like, let's say I'm like you, I'm in the hospital and I get some drug and, wow, this is public and it's a small company. How do I define like, oh yeah, this thing might save my life, but do I want to invest in it? How do you make that choice? You know what I mean?
Well, sure. I mean, so I recommend beginning with products that are relevant to your life or the life of someone you love, right? So they've got that, and then there are certain tests in terms of what is the financial situation of the company, what is the viability of the company, right? So. Not everyone is sophisticated enough to do this, and if you're not at that level where you are comfortable reading financial statements and stuff, then I always just recommend an exchange-traded fund. But what you'll find out is many of these companies are back to that thing with Buffett where you don't know who's swimming naked until the tide goes out, right? So there's a lot of there's a lot of companies that have great pipelines and great products, but they don't have the financial wherewithal to make it across the finish line.
Right.
So I would check the financials, how much cash do they have in the bank? How much are they burning? How long until they're likely to have a viable product? That's important, right? Because you can have the best pipeline in the world, but if you go bankrupt next week, that doesn't help, right?
Right.
And then I would check into the track record of the CEO. So unfortunately, once again, having a lot of experience with Florida, I know that you know this, but there's a lot of scoundrels and scallywags that like to hang out in the biotech space, right?
Right.
There's a lot of, So there are some criteria.
I can tell you some stories.
Right. So there's some criteria that you could apply to just weed out the pump and dump boiler room stuff.
Right.
So, is the share price consistently over $2? Have they been sued? Have they been sued a lot? My little rule? I want market cap greater than a few hundred million.
Have they been? I like that. Have they been sued? Have they been sued a lot? Right.
Right.
That was funny.
You say that with a straight face, but it was actually funny.
Well, because these are the things. If you know to your point, if you know where to look, you can actually see the red flags quite clearly, right?
Right.
But someone who's inexperienced, a lot of these pump and dump people are preying on people who are not experienced, right? So